She's the happiest little bean.
Is she?
She just, all she does is just smile.
I've heard it's much easier, like with, well, first of all, the second, but also girls are like less temperamental, I guess.
Live.
We are live. Yay. Hello, world. Good evening to our semester at sea community. Thank you so much for joining us in the latest installment of our Wavelengths alumni series. This online series highlights the talents of our semester at sea alumni around the world. We feature an alum from a different industry or career field every other Wednesday at 5 p.m. Mountain Time here on our official SAS Facebook page. I'm Mikaela Gauer, and I sailed with Kate Grace Smith on the spring 2006 voyage. And when I met her, I knew her as Kate. And then around 2012, you started to use your middle name, Grace, for work. So I will refer to you as Kate because otherwise I'll get confused, and that's how we've known each other for nearly 15 years. So I'm so excited to be here with you today to have this little chat. A little bit about me. I'm a creative director and a photographer, and I'm based between Brooklyn, New York and Vancouver, Canada. And I'm currently in Canada right now speaking to you all. So I am super excited to talk with Kate Grace Smith this evening about her mission to make hypnosis mainstream. So I'll give a little bit of background about you and how you've built the business that you have. It's super impressive. So Kate Grace Smith is a Wall Street Journal bestselling author and the founder and owner of Grace Space Hypnosis. It's the world's #1 provider of hypnotherapy education, products, and services, including the Grace Space Hypnosis app. Grace is also the founder and lead instructor of the Grace Method Hypnotherapy Certification School, which trains the next generation of world-class hypnotherapists. Top graduates are invited to join the Grace Space team, who provide thousands of private hypnotherapy sessions to global clients via Zoom. Grace Space Hypnosis surpassed the revenue and growth requirement to make the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing companies in 2020. And is an exciting leadership position within the rapidly growing multi-trillion-dollar health and wellness industry. Grace Space Hypnosis is officially the 46th fastest growing company in Florida out of the Inc. 5000 in 2020. That is a crazy list of accomplishments. So I'd love to dive right in. I know some of this already, but I would love for you to share with our audience how you were first introduced to hypnotherapy and tell us how Grace Space Hypnosis was born.
Absolutely. And first of all, thank you so much, Mikaela, for doing this. Thank you so much, Semester at Sea, for having me, for having us. This is the most fun interview of my life to have my best friend here with me. So I'm so excited to share all about Grace Space Hypnosis with you guys. And I'm really excited to talk about Semester at Sea and our time together on the ship and what it did for our lives. So we'll get into all that good stuff later. But first things first, how I got into hypnosis, I used it to quit smoking. So I was 24 years old, living in the Lower East Side of New York City at the time. Mikaela and we were living in the same building, or at least in the same neighborhood.
Yeah,
I was on Norfolk and you were on First, right?
Yeah, or Second. I was on Second and B.
So we were like 3 blocks away from, we were either in the same building or 3 blocks away from each other. Yeah. Regardless, I had a very fast paced, very hectic, stressful job in corporate America. And I had no healthy coping mechanisms. And I really used partying as an outlet to try to process all of the stuff in my life that I didn't know how to process in a healthy way. And I was really lucky at 24 years old to get sober. And 6 months into my sobriety, I was still chain smoking cigarettes, and I couldn't understand why was I able to stop this thing, which was so tied into my identity. I mean, going out every single night in that neighborhood was who I was after working really hard all day long. So if I could give that up, why was I still smoking? And someone suggested hypnosis. I went in very skeptical with my arms crossed over my chest, not expecting it to work. In one session, I quit. I then used it to overcome my debilitating fear of public speaking. So clearly that worked. I do this for a living now. And then I decided to get a certification just to learn more about the power of the subconscious. I was blown away by these 2 experiences. And early on, I helped a man who was paralyzed from a stroke break through his paralysis in one session. And that's the day I put in my 2 weeks notice in corporate America, said it's now my mission to make hypnosis mainstream because people are suffering needlessly. And the best part is I ended up marrying that man's son. So that's how I met my future father-in-law, was by helping him break through his paralysis. So
Wow.
It's definitely been a legacy, family-led business ever since.
That's amazing. So what was it like at the start of the pandemic? Because we're kind of, in the middle of still this COVID-19 situation. And I know that I've kind of seen you grow the business from the beginning through all these different iterations, websites and apps and the school. And just the way that you've been able to build your business has always been astonishing to me. You're such a natural born entrepreneur and leader. So I'd love for you to tell me a little bit about how you had to pivot when the world shut down, and like, how did you go from, having all these people from all over the world fly in to your school, and then all of a sudden you could only offer it online. How was that?
Yeah, there was a confluence of really bad decisions made leading up to the pandemic, and we almost didn't survive them. So one of the things that happened was we thought we were going to get an investor. We had a few people who were interested in being our first ever equity partners. We've never taken money. We've always just reinvested every single penny and slowly grown that way. But this was the first time we had a few people lined up very interested, and we acted like we already had the money. So we were hiring, we were expanding, we were running our advertising at full tilt. And then the day, the pandemic happened, we had to close our school, which was 70% of our revenue, because people were flying in, as you said, from all over the world to where I live in Vero Beach, Florida. Obviously, we couldn't do that. So now we had all of these expenses that we couldn't pay, because the day that the markets crashed due to the pandemic, our potential investors lost a ton of money and all said, there's absolutely no way. So it wasn't even just that 70% of our revenue was out. It was that we had already been acting like we were bigger than we were, which we're so lucky we survived that lesson, because most businesses don't. And I feel really grateful that we learned it in such a way that we'll never forget. So I was pregnant, and for about 4 months every day, I thought we were going to go bankrupt. And
Wow.
my husband, who is a genius, and I'm so lucky, he's a self-taught tech genius, didn't study any of this, but just rose to the occasion and believes in our mission so much that he taught himself how to be really, really amazing at these back-end systems. And we just started expanding our app and our private hypnotherapy sessions that take place over Zoom. Luckily, they already existed before the pandemic, but we just had to scale them rapidly. And he did that. We went actually from having a team of 3 hypnotherapists under me to 19 during the pandemic. So we created jobs at the end of the day, which was amazing. We ended up helping more people than ever, which is what the world needed. We're still expanding the team constantly now. So I would say the real pivot was not optional. It was just a matter of survival. It was a matter of what can we do, and just pulling all-nighters for 4 months, figuring it out, and then eventually redid our entire school and launched it in a 100% virtual format 11 months after the pandemic.
Wow.
And 160 students joined, which was amazing, because normally we only had 12 students per class. So it was great.
So I imagine you had to kind of reorganize the way that you were doing things. And I've actually experienced hypnosis with you. You're just absolutely incredible. And so was there any difference, or do you find there to be a difference between doing it in person and then doing it online, or is it just as powerful online?
So the cool thing was that I've been conducting hypnosis over first Skype, now Zoom, ever since New York. So basically I had an office, I don't know if you remember it, in Union Square,
in like near Union Square somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came to that office.
Actual closet. I'm not what it is. And I asked my literary agent all the time, because I met her when she was a client of mine, and she's been to that office. I said, Lisa, why don't you run for the hills? And she said, my eyes were closed the whole session. It was you who had to look at the closet. She was like, you're the only one suffering through this. So what happened was I had all these clients in New York who would travel, and they wouldn't want to miss their weekly session. And so they would show up in New York at the closet office, so stressed, their subway was late, their boss upset them, somebody on the street bumped into them and spilled their coffee, always a frazzled mess. And the first bunch of minutes were always just kind of decompressing the energy of New York. And then they'd go on their business trip, or they'd have a little sniffle and didn't want to come in, so they'd stay home, and they'd show up like, I just took a bubble bath, or I just ate dinner. Yeah, they were so much more relaxed to begin with. And then the period of relaxation extended so much longer because they didn't have to go commute. And the whole reason hypnosis is effective is because you're in something called the theta brainwave state, where you're deeply relaxed. So if you can extend that state, the impact of the hypnotherapy session just increases. And I said, why am I paying New York City rent when people will have a better experience doing this over, again, then it was Skype. So I've been doing it that way ever since. I've been doing it that way since probably 2014. And now it's just a matter of, we get to do it at scale all over the world with all of these people on our team.
That's awesome.
So it's more effective this way. Yeah.
Totally. So I know how effective it can be, and you obviously do. But I'm curious if you would be able to lead us in a short session, just so that our viewers can have an experience of how powerful this tool is.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we'll do about 10 minutes, maybe a few minutes less. And I'd love for everybody who's tuning in to just see how much this can help you decrease any stress you might be experiencing. We won't go into anything too deep in those 10 minutes, but it'll also show you how it's not how Hollywood portrays it. It's not mind control. There's no swinging watches. It's actually meditation with a goal. And all it does is help you take any limiting beliefs, any subconscious self-sabotage, access it where it lives in that theta brainwave state, and upgrade it. That's all it is. So we'll start with some stress relief today. So if everybody wants to find that chat box, I know many of you are going to be watching the replay of this, so you can do that at that time too. And notice your starting stress level. So 0 is the most relaxed you can possibly be. 10 would be a full-blown panic attack. 10 is you haven't made it back to the ship and it's pulling out of port. You're still in Burma. That's a 10. As I think that might have been for Frank Fellier, one of our guys, or maybe Vietnam. So
Vietnam, I remember I barely made it on the ship in Vietnam. I think we all got dock time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you know what a 10 is. Go ahead and write in the chat your starting number. Mikaela, what would you say is your starting number?
I think it's a 6 to 7.
Perfect. Okay, great. Awesome. So knowing that, everybody go ahead and close your eyes. Take a nice, deep, letting go breath. Already beginning to relax both mind and body. Relax all of the muscles in your face. Relax all of the muscles in your body. And I wonder now just how much you're able to relax your left ankle. And I wonder now just how much you're able to relax your right knee. And I wonder now just how much you're able to relax both of your shoulders. Good. Now as I count down from 3 to 1 and snap my fingers, you'll begin to imagine a color you love forming at the top of your head. 3, going even deeper. 2, trusting what comes, and 1. See, feel, and experience a color you love forming at the top of your head, and think that color to yourself. Now imagine that color flowing in through the top of your head, all the way through your body, out the bottoms of your feet, down into the center of the earth. That color relaxing you, that color releasing you, that color taking you all the way down. Repeating in your mind after me, I am safe. I am calm. I choose to be here. Take a nice deep letting go breath. And we'll do that twice more. I am safe. I am calm. I choose to be here. Another nice deep letting go breath. I am safe. I am calm. I choose to be here. Think that color that's forming at the top of your head. And imagine it flowing in through the top of your head, all the way through your body, out the bottoms of your feet, down into the center of the earth. Good. And then gently open your eyes. And everybody go ahead and notice their new number on the scale. And you'll write in the comments your starting number dash your new number. Remembering 0 is the most relaxed you can possibly be. We're going to do a second round real soon. Mikaela, what's your number now?
I got a 2.
So amazing. From a 6.5 to a 2 in, that was 3 minutes, friend. Let's go for round 2 now that you know how awesome it is.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm like very relaxed.
Everybody
I
deserves
forgot
a
I was
mental
on
vacation.
camera, actually.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I know, it's the best. All right, everybody, noticing that new number on the scale, close your eyes. Relax the top of your head. Relax your forehead, smoothing out any creases. Relax the tiny muscles next to your eyes. Relax your jaw, letting it hang loose and slack. Relax your shoulders. Relax your arms all the way through to the fingertips. Relax your torso, breathing easily, really releasing your stomach. No sucking in. Really connect to your life force, to your breath, with a number of nice, deep, slow, long breaths. And relax your legs all the way out through the bottoms of your feet. You realize now a perfect staircase is beginning to form before you. This staircase could be sleek and simple or elaborate and ornate. Whatever you imagine is perfect and correct. At the bottom of the staircase will be your safe place, a place where you feel so wonderfully, deeply relaxed and perfectly safe that lasting transformation to your subconscious mind takes place in the most positive, helpful, supportive ways that you desire. Getting ready to take your first step down on your perfect staircase. 5, taking your first step down now. Doubling your relaxation as you do so. 4, another step down. The deeper you go, the better you feel. 3, relaxing, releasing, and letting go all the way down. You're doing so well. Keep going. 2, you're almost there now. And 1, be there now inside your safe place. A place where you feel so wonderfully, deeply relaxed and perfectly safe that lasting transformation to your subconscious mind takes place. Go ahead and breathe in the pleasant fragrances, the pleasant smells there inside your safe place. Reach out and touch something there inside your safe place, feeling its texture or its weight, its roughness or smoothness. Notice the colors there inside your safe place. Hear the sounds there inside your safe place. And perhaps there's even something there for you to taste, even if it's just a sip of cool, clean, clear water. Go ahead and taste it now there inside your safe place. Beautiful. And now when I count down from 3 to 1 and snap my fingers, a beautiful screen will appear there inside your safe place. And on it will be a very, very happy memory. A memory that will be very cathartic and healing for you to remember. If you're an alum, it could be from semester C. If you're prospective students, perhaps it's a different travel adventure you've been on. Whatever you see on that screen is perfect and correct, so long as it is a healing, cathartic, happy memory bubbling up from the depths of your subconscious. 3, going even deeper. 2, trusting what comes. And 1, see, feel, and experience that happy memory on the screen now while I'm silent. And allow it to fill you up with so many wonderful feelings and amplify, magnify those emotions. Amplify, magnify those wonderful emotions. Amplify, magnify how good that feels. And then ask the screen, why is this the memory you wanted to show me? And receive the answer. Beautiful. Sealing all of that goodness into your heart as you repeat after me. I am safe. I am calm. I have a beautiful life. Good, twice more. I am safe. I am calm. I have a beautiful life. I am safe. I am calm. I have a beautiful life. Starting to come back now. 1, moving your feet and your toes. 2, moving your hands and your fingers. 3, lots of energy returning to the body. 4, coming back to this place this time. 5, remembering everything. 6, feeling wonderful. 7, all the way back. 8, feeling great. 9, getting ready to open those eyes, and 10, opening your eyes, coming back to this place this time, and noticing your new number on the scale. And what number are you on now, love?
Hello. I think I'm at a 0.
Amazing. So 6.5 to a 3 to a 0. So I'd love everyone in the chat to do the same thing, right? Your starting number dash, your middle number dash, your final number. And that's what hypnosis is. It's a wonderfully deeply relaxed state where you can access your intuition, all of your long-term memory, powerful insights, and it feels amazing.
It really does. It's very interesting because even coming into this, we're so comfortable with each other, and because we've known each other forever, but there's always like a little bit of nervousness or anxiety about going live and being in front of a group of people, and all of that is gone. It just disappeared, all the little butterflies. Awesome. So that's crazy. I feel like I really dropped into my body.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Was your memory from SAS or was it from someplace else?
It wasn't. It was actually in Italy. Yeah, by the water, but like a beautiful memory of like this gorgeous waterscape. Yeah, it's just one of my like happiest. I was there for work actually, and it was one of my happiest shoots to date. So
I remember the photos from that shoot. Yeah, that was gorgeous. Yeah, really my memory surprised me. I didn't think it would be this one, but it was when you and I were in the Amazon with Semester at Sea. It was like the first time we really hung out and we were really becoming friends. Do you remember the little monkey?
Yes.
There was a little monkey and he wasn't like chained up or anything. I mean, I really probably shouldn't have been holding a wild monkey.
He wanted to be held.
I really wanted to, and he really wanted to. And I was so happy being with you and being with this little monkey and being in this beautiful place in the Amazon. And that's what came up. And when I asked why was I shown this, the answer was, this was the moment you met best friend for life.
Wow.
And it was you.
It's so significant. I know. I mean,
like the monkey? No.
I mean, in a way. I know that like Semester at Sea has obviously changed both of our lives forever. Like I know I wouldn't be where I am without it. It influenced my whole everything, moved to New York, career trajectory, everything. How do you feel like it influenced your career path? Because I remember you were in corporate America, then there was like this switch. But yeah, tell me a little bit more about how you feel.
Yeah, it changed everything. It changed absolutely everything. I've never, ever been the same. And I'm so grateful for that. I remember when I first came back from the ship, how hard it was, how depressed I was. It was the first time I ever experienced depression. And I remember there was like a help group for alumni who came back because we had just been literally all over the world. Yeah, we're in India, in these remote villages, repainting a little school that has dirt floors and nobody has any shoes and everyone's so loving and generous and giving us gifts, and it just blew my mind. And then I come back and the whole time I was gone, everyone I knew was playing beer pong on Staten Island. It was like, I can't even talk to anyone. I don't know. I don't live in the same world anymore. I don't have the same brain anymore. So it changed the course of my studies. I added a comparative religion minor to my English major and business minor. So it was a total weird thing that I ended up with when I graduated that I use every day now, all three of them. So that's really funny. And then I ended up pursuing a master's in human rights studies because of Semester at Sea, but very quickly found it was all academic. Nobody was making the world a better place. They were just comparing papers and hypotheses of how to make the world a better place. And it made me so angry that there was a whole fancy Ivy League school degree in this where no one was making any change. So I went into, I call it corporate, but it was high-end fundraising to begin with. And I wanted to make a difference doing all this fundraising. And really, I ended up finding out that most of it felt like a glorified sales position, that we weren't actually changing the world. And I think what happened was, the minute I got into hypnotherapy, and the first session I ever did in my training course with a practice student, I was helping her with binge eating. First session I ever did. And the next day we were all eating lunch together, and she looked up and she said, "This is the first time in my life that I've eaten a meal without obsessing over it while I'm eating it. I was just having a conversation with all of you. I wasn't having an anguished experience. I was just eating lunch and talking with all of you." And then she burst into hysterical tears. And I went, "Oh, now I know how I can actually make the world a better place, like actually change people's lives for the better." And I wouldn't have had any of that desire. I mean, maybe a little bit, but semester at sea solidified this feeling of, if you're not a global citizen, you are a global citizen, so act like it. You know, and I've always felt that way. And so from day one, our company has been international. And yeah, just love of travel. You being, you know, still, you were in my wedding. I remember getting on semester at sea and being like, well, for the next semester, I can do whatever I want and be whatever I want, because I'll never see these people ever again. They're the only ones I'd see and hang out
And then
with,
we just, we keep stalking each other.
Exactly. Yeah, it couldn't have had more of an impact, honestly.
Yeah.
It couldn't have. Yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah, it's just, once you experience all those different countries and you meet so many different types of people, your capacity for empathy grows, and your worldview just totally expands. And all of a sudden, it's not just you in your city, your province or state, your country. You're like so much more aware of everything that's happening outside of you and how much more need there is. And I think, I mean, travel in general, I feel like, is the best education, but when you're pairing it with your actual education,
Yeah,
it's the most unbelievable platform for personal growth. And then I mean, I think the next summer, well, I remember immediately getting off the ship and then like running to Mexico, because we can't be in America. We can't deal with this. So we ran across the border to Tijuana. But then I think the following summer we met up in Ireland.
yeah.
And I mean, since then we've continued to travel all over the world together, and it's been so amazing. But I know that seed of wanderlust was like really planted during semester C, but not just wanderlust, but the hunger for discovery and for continuing to kind of educate ourselves about the world, about different cultures. And then it's so valuable because you have these experiences that you can then go on throughout your life and connect with people in all sorts of situations, because you have that to kind of fall back on and reference and say, oh, wait, you were in India, and where and when, and you know, it's just,
I think one of the things that still strikes me to this day is, you know, all of these places were so different, and there's so much history and there's so much culture. But the similarities of the friends that we made, not just on the ship, but in these countries, and how much people want meaningful connection and to understand each other and to laugh and to dance. And that is what still stands out to me most, is that our honestly, our similarities in what we want out of life as human beings are just, it's just so striking and so beautiful. And I don't think that's changed in the years since we've been on the ship. And I can't wait to share that lesson with my kids as early on as possible, you know, to shape their worldview in that way.
There's one specific incident that I remember from Japan when we were traveling together that really struck me. I don't know if you remember this, but we were in this capsule hotel and we didn't speak any Japanese, and we thought that we had paid for the hotel stay, but we had only paid for the spa. And so at 3 a.m, we're sleeping in the capsules, And the hotel manager comes in and is like yelling at us to kick us out. And there was this other woman that was staying there. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes, Yuki.
Yuki. And so I'll never forget this experience, but she got up in the middle of the night, translated what was happening. And then the next day, she spent the entire day with us, showing us Tokyo.
Yes.
And she was moving to Australia the following day.
Next day. It's amazing. It was amazing. She took us everywhere. She was so sweet. And the fact that the hotel didn't actually kick us out and let us sleep on the floor of the spa, which is where we belonged because we didn't pay them for more than that.
Yeah.
And just for everybody listening, a capsule hotel, if you don't know, is a wall with holes in it, and you crawl in to the hole and sleep like and they pull down a little shade. So we were in one hole together, and then the shades come like in the middle, getting yelled at in Japanese. And Yuki saved us, this total complete stranger, and she was amazing. And that happened all over the world. It's just very cool that one we were together.
Yeah, I think about that experience, and I just think back to like the kindness of strangers, and how much of an effect that act of generosity on her part still like affects me to this day, and that we experienced that together was so special.
Special.
So final serious question for you, and then I'd love to kind of like open it up to the audience and continue to reminisce about our semester at sea experience. But do you have any advice for entrepreneurs? Because you are a world-class hypnotherapist, but you are also an entrepreneur and like one of the most incredible business-minded people I've ever met. So yeah, do you have any advice for anyone who wants to start their own company?
Yes, so much. I think that if there's anybody watching either now or in the future with the replay, I'll check back to see if questions come in later as well. But I really need to know what your goals are, what you want to achieve, if you have capital, if you're bootstrapping from nothing, in order to give applicable advice. So here's the first piece of advice: is only take advice from people who have done what you want to do in the way that you want to do it. Or are at the stage that you want to be at next. I can give advice about every stage of building the business along the way, but if I were to say, here's how you go from 2 million to 10 million to someone who hasn't done 20,000, that's not at all helpful. So that's the first piece of advice: is know the type of advice you're looking for and stop looking at everything that isn't that. The internet is going to tell you, download this tool, run a challenge, make sure you're an Instagram influencer, make sure that your Facebook ads are on point, make sure you have a blog. All of these things, to be excellent at them, is a full-time career that requires a zone of genius. These are not things that you can excel at if you A, hate them, or B, are just moderately interested, or C, feel like you have to do it because everybody else is doing it. It is so much better to find the thing that actually lights you up, because you're going to have to spend all day and all night on it for a long time, and double down on that one stream of traffic or that one funnel that's working, and take that as far as you can take it, and then add the next piece of your puzzle. That's a mistake we made very early on, was doing it all very badly for a long time and convincing ourselves like,
I don't know,
we have a business.
I mean, there's a lot of trial and error, but I wouldn't say you ever did it badly, but you were experimenting.
You saw my original branding, and that's very kind of you, considering how aesthetically attuned you are. No, it was horrific. It was horrible. I wish I could show you all a picture right now. Don't Google me.
No,
you'll see.
I will say I really admire people who just do it, who just produce, who just put things out there, and if it fails, then they try again. It's like all the kind of the iterative nature of building the business is really fascinating, because some people, myself included, can sit around and kind of daydream and hypothesize and write about it and how are we going to build this, and then you never end up building it. So you just built it and then kept iterating.
Built into the fabric of my being is done is better than perfect. Launched is better than perfect. And true creatives, I find, have such difficulty with this, you being one of them, because you understand so much better than I do what good is. So I just am really lucky that that's a natural thing of mine, because entrepreneurs, you have to develop that. You have to develop done is better than perfect. So that's the next thing. And then the final piece I'll say, until hopefully, we've got some questions. If not, I can just keep rambling forever. But the next thing is knowing your zone of genius and not attempting to do what is outside of that as early on as you can, even if it means sharing revenue. So I will see people thinking, I'm a solopreneur. Entrepreneurs wear all the hats and kind of wearing that as a badge of honor. And it is true. You're going to do all the jobs at first. You're going to be customer service. You're going to be your own graphic designer. You're going to be everything. But the sooner you can stop that and get into your zone of genius and let someone else carry the things that's their zone of genius. I know most entrepreneurs have a ton of money to pay world-class people. But if someone believes in you and your mission and what you're doing and what you're here to create, and you share 49% of the revenue with them, they'll double down and give their all. And I really think everyone needs to read Rocket Fuel and understand who's the visionary and who's the integrator, because all phenomenally successful businesses have both personalities. And if I didn't have my Bernardo, who's my integrator, and they don't need to be your spouse. In fact, most of the time that doesn't work. I'm very lucky Bernardo is the perfect human. And he's a self-taught integrator. He didn't go to school for this, but he has an integrator personality. So you need a visionary and an integrator as early on as humanly possible. Those are my 3 pieces that I think apply to everybody.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Of course.
So should we open it up to the audience? Oh, we have some comments. Well, in the meantime, I'd love to know how you first heard about Semestered C.
How did I first hear about it? I think I was searching for study abroad programs. I'm pretty sure I originally just assumed I'd go to Ireland because I'm fairly obsessed with Ireland. And I think Semestered C came up in a search. And then a friend of mine who I had danced with my whole life, we were always in the same dance school, was going on it. And her older brother had gone on it. And she and I, Lisa and I, decided to be roommates. And I think I put in the $1,000 deposit. I don't know what it is now, but back in the day, it was $1,000 deposit. So I put in my application, I got accepted, and I put in my $1,000 from my babysitting money, because I think I was a freshman in college when I applied. No, my Cutco money. It's definitely the Cutco years. I was selling knives. And then I told my parents. So I was like, I applied, I've been accepted, I already gave them money, I can't go back. And they were like, it's not a binding contract. You can still not go. Don't try to think that we don't know that. And I was like, they have $1,000, I have to go. They'll come drag me onto the ship. And they're like, that's not how that works. So I spent the next many months convincing, particularly my mom, that I had to do this. And the fact that, they knew Lisa made them feel better. And yeah, that's how it started.
Amazing.
How about you?
I remember, so my mom's older sister is quite a bit older than my mom. And so her kids are older than me, about 18 or 16 years older. And so my cousin married a guy who went on Semestered C. And he's very into sailing. Actually, it's one of his missions in life, I think still, is to sail around the world. And my dad is also very into sailing and boating, and we grew up on sailboats. And so he was over for dinner sometime, and he was telling my dad about Semestered C. And so my dad told me, and my dad was the one who was like, you have to do this. And
whoa.
Yeah, which was crazy. I mean, my dad's always really encouraged me to kind of do crazy things. Even when I went to New York for a semester at sea reunion 2 weeks after graduation from UBC. And I called my dad and was like, I think I'm going to stay. And I canceled my flight home. And that's actually how I ended up moving to New York. So
That's
semester
amazing.
at sea has like basically influenced the entire trajectory of my life.
Wow.
But yeah, that's how I found out about it. And I think that like, that's probably been like the highlight of my life. Top 3 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember the first day on the ship, they lined up all the amazing professors who are just so phenomenal, because who doesn't want that job, right? So it's very competitive. You get to see the whole family. We want that job, 100%.
Fire us.
Yes. I will teach you hypnosis, business, anything. Mikaela will teach you everything she knows, photography, how to produce amazing things all over the world. Everyone needs these skills. Okay, we're done pitching ourselves. But I remember the first day on the ship, lining up all these amazing professors, and the dean saying something like 85% of your faculty are alumni. What that means is you're about to embark on the greatest time of your life, and you're 19. And so the flip side of that is the greatest time of your life is happening at 19, and everything from out will be downhill. And you will spend your entire life including getting PhDs in order to just get back on the ship like all these guys did. And it couldn't have been more true, because I saw a question came in that said, what advice would you give to other parents who are reluctant? I'm literally scheming and trying to figure out ways to be a professor on the ship so I could take my family with me. But for reluctant parents, you know, I don't know what the statistics are, but I know there were hundreds of students on that ship, and we all made it home, you know, and we made it home as infinitely better people. I don't know how semester C kept track of us, but they did, and they got us home safely, and the world was better for it. I mean, these are 2 stories of people who doubled down their commitment to making the world a better place through their careers and all of our travel and all of the ways that we live. But there were, what, 750 of us? So imagine the ripple effect of just that one voyage. And so I would say, whatever fears you have about your child going around the world, first of all, their internet connection is going to be way better than ours was. So we could barely talk to our parents.
I didn't have a phone. I didn't use the internet.
Texting them all day.
Nobody knew where I was.
Just landed in South Africa, Mom. My parents didn't get any of that. And to just know, I don't know. Honestly, I understand why it sounds overwhelming, but it's the best thing that'll ever happen to your kid.
I totally agree.
Frank Joseph Fellier is here.
We have a question from one of our favorite people in the world, Frank Joseph Fellier, who is like, we love you. We love you so much. So he has a question. You've mentioned several times that SAS changed you, but in what ways and how? What was something you learned about yourself that you didn't expect? It's a great question.
Is everybody frozen or just hello? I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you. Are we frozen?
Mikaela's frozen for me.
Okay. Wait, you're frozen for me now too. Oh, but we can still hear. So audio is A-okay. Are you still with us? Okay. Oh, she's
hello.
Back. Hello.
Sorry for that. Our love for Frank broke my computer.
Yeah. So what was something you learned about yourself that you didn't expect? How did SAS change you? If there's one thing you can.
I'm only turning red for no reason. So let me think of a great one. Well, okay. When I got on the ship, I would say I was much more shy than I am now. I actually am a natural introvert. And when I first got on the ship, that was showing. I mean, the first bunch of nights I kind of hung out with another Frank that I knew who came on the ship with me, who was actually my boyfriend at the time and originally wasn't going to come with me, but then did. And I kind of thought we were going to go on every single trip together. And after getting my sea legs and meeting all of these wonderful people, I became much more independent. And I actually, we decided to do almost no trips together, he and I, which was wonderful. We got to know so many amazing people and create so many experiences. And I really was the type of person before who would have been like, you're the one person, I know my roommate and I know Frank, and I'm going to just stay with the people that I know because it's too intimidating for me to meet other people. And I went completely the opposite way. And that has really extended into my life, that I really love meeting new people and finding out their story. I mean, being a hypnotherapist, I can't do small talk anymore because it's like, hi, nice to meet you. What's the worst thing that's ever happened to you? That's literally how the conversations go. And what can I help you with? But SAS was the first moment of really craving meeting new people. And then the next thing I would say is, I was always a planner. I mean, if you looked at my notebooks in college, there were all these different, highlights and colored tabs and very organized. And I would have planned out where I wanted to go and where I was going to stay. And at SAS, I turned into, I have no plan. I'm going to make a friend and stay at their house and ride on the back of their moped to whatever they're doing tonight. And that way of traveling lasted forever. I mean, when I decided to be an au pair the next summer in Europe and you came to visit, that's all we did. I mean, I still to this day, even with my family now, it's like, let's just show up in that city and see what happens. And that was totally different from how I was before the ship. How about you?
Oh, I mean, it's funny. I rarely remember this, but I was very nervous before leaving. And I had done a little bit of international travel before, but I just remember thinking like, what if I don't meet any friends? What if nobody likes me? What if, I had all of these, I was very hesitant. And although I am a little bit more of an extrovert, I still had all of the same nerves around the experience. And I think that what Semester at Sea really taught me is that like I really could do anything, and that no decision is really a bad decision. It just leads to, you make one decision, it leads to the next thing, and then you have to make a decision. So I became a little bit more decisive and like not afraid of making decisions. And then also, I mean, I mentioned this earlier, but I would have never moved to New York and developed the career that I have in New York if it weren't for the fact that there was a reunion there, and that I had several friends from Semester at Sea that said, you need to stay here and we'll help you figure it out. So it's just basically about saying yes to opportunity and not letting fear be the driver of your life, but that like the world is out there and it's so beautiful and there's so much opportunity for all of these amazing experiences. And it made me even more hungry for adventure and new experience. So
I think the two kind of go hand in hand, and that like if you really, really attempt to plan out and control your life, you miss the magic a little bit. And when you open things up and you view it as there's no bad decision, it just leads you to the next thing. Those two beliefs really led to, okay, the universe has somebody in this country I've never been to that they need me to meet for some reason. And then this beautiful story is going to unfold and I have no idea what it is. And I can't wait to see what it is. I live my life that way every day. I mean, even though I live in this tiny little town and I see the same people all day long, I'm always looking to see what the universe has in store for me, what's going to unfold. And I'm always looking around the corner for there's some magical story that's going to show up in my life. And I'm just going to be ready to walk that path when it shows itself to me. And I know that all came from Semester at Sea. And I am so happy that that's how I live my life, that I don't think I have it figured out. I don't want to, because what I can create is nowhere near as good as what's waiting around the corner.
Wow.
I just have to show up for it.
Totally. I love that. We have another question from Frank Joseph. What
would we do without you?
What are some things that, looking back upon now, you took for granted during your 100-day voyage? What would you do differently? Hard-hitting questions.
Frank, who is asking these beautiful questions, is one of the most talented artists you've ever met in your life, everybody who's listening. And he documented the voyage in such a beautiful way. And so, Frank, I think that I wish I had done a better job at that. I actually, even though I'd never taken so many photos in my life as I had on the ship, and Mikaela, I know you had hard drives upon hard drives. I wish I had more photos. I wish I had more videos. I wish I had actually organized them and categorized them. All of the things that I'm happy I did, I wish I had just done more of. I wish I'd met even more of the people on the ship. I wish I'd gotten to be even better friends with the faculty, who are such phenomenal human beings. I wish, there's so much I did. I don't feel like a sense of regret. I just feel like the next time I'm on the ship, because I know it'll happen again, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. I will spend as much time getting to know as many people as I can and documenting it as well as I can, to just savor it as much as I can. And probably a few more tacos on Taco Tuesday. I mean, I did really well, but probably a few more.
I totally agree with that. I remember Frank had a blog that I think I sent to all my friends and family for them to understand the experience, because I wasn't keeping one myself. And yes, I was documenting through still photography, but I think something more personalized, whether it would be like a vlog or a video diary, or something not even necessarily to share with anybody but my future self, would have been really interesting, so that I could go back and see 19-year-old me and what was I experiencing, all the feelings. And honestly, things were moving so quickly. Like, we were just on new continents within a week. And between that and classwork and social life and everything that we were doing, I didn't really prioritize that, but I definitely would say integrating like more video and just really capturing the experience through some sort of diary format. I would have definitely loved if I had done that for myself.
And interestingly enough, I hope this is okay to say on the Semester at Sea alumni page, but truthfully, I was quite nervous in the beginning about doing any trips in the countries that weren't created by Semester at Sea. And some of them were wonderful, but some of the best adventures were the ones where we just went off road, and so I think I would go into it looking at the opportunities very differently. Like, I don't know that I could have gotten to the Amazon on my own and figured out the things that I needed to have the experience that I had through SAS there, but the experience I had in China, which was very much felt like kind of a tour bus experience, I would have wanted a completely different experience, which is, I think, so the one you had in China is very different from mine.
I did that.
I think. What did you do?
I went to the Great Wall in China. Oh, we have another question. It says last question from Frank Joseph. What's one non-memory physical object that you treasure from your travels?
I have a few. What's yours?
I remember something that you bought that I think you still have.
What?
I think it's a tea set.
Yes, I still have the tea set. I do.
I remember that. I remember Frank being like, you can't buy a tea set. Like, how are you going to package that? And you were like, I must have this tea set.
I had a tea set, an umbrella. Carrying around an umbrella it was not an umbrella, friends. It was a parasol.
It was a parasol. Was that from Vietnam?
Huge. Yes.
Yes.
But I think my most treasured object is probably this really beautiful ring I have that I got in India, in this shop above a shop in this back corner. And we spent hours and hours in there after a really magical day where we took a little fisherman boat out and saw a temple that was hidden beneath the ocean, and nobody knew it was there until the tsunami hit. And so it was kind of the only silver lining of the tsunami, because when the water receded by a mile, it uncovered this ancient temple. And so now fishermen, when they were going out to work for the day, could take you and swim around the top of this 3,500-year-old temple. So we spent the morning doing that. And then the fishermen brought us to this little shop, and it wasn't touristy at all. And it had all of these embedded amethysts, which is my birthstone. And I wore that every day for, at least 8 years. I have it upstairs. I almost put it on for the interview, but I believe it's carrying so much energy from the trip. I was afraid I would actually just cry the whole interview if I wore it. That's how much it means to me.
Amazing.
Yeah. Any tea sets in your?
Yeah, I think I got, well, there's a plate that I got in Mauritius, which was hand painted, and the entire picture that was painted on the plate over the years has worn off, but I still kept the plate. And then I have a few saris.
Oh, I have a few saris too.
Oh,
so
and
pretty.
We also, didn't we? Oh, this is my favorite. So actually my favorite clothing item is a super colorful dress from a vintage shop in Japan that we bought together.
Yes.
That was like, had lace and polka dots and like crazy colors.
Yours is so cool. And I bought this like pink and black asymmetrical mesh shirt that again I wore for like 8 years, and I really should have just had it as a souvenir.
My dress is so like the lace is ripped, and it looks like I can't actually wear it out anymore, but I'll never give it away, because it's one of those things that I remember like when I was little, and we had like a dress up closet from old clothing that my mom had sewed when she was growing up. And this dress from Japan reminded me of this one butterfly dress that my mom had that I used to dress up in all the time.
Wow.
So when I thought about that dress, I'm like, I think that I want to hold on to this as a memory from Semester at Sea, almost not even for myself, but maybe for a future generation. That's how special it is to me.
That's very cool. Well, one other thing that just came to mind too is I got Ryan, my little brother, an instrument in every country.
Oh, wow.
Which some of them were tiny, some of them were also, Frank was like, you just cannot. And I got this huge stick thing from Brazil, and it's the thing in all the bossa nova or the samba music that goes, ooh, ooh, ooh. It sounds kind of like that.
Like a didgeridoo really or something?
No, it's about like, ooh, ooh, I don't know. It's like that. So now I married a man from Brazil many years later, and that song, that sound pops up in samba music, and Ryan has the instrument that makes that noise because I bought it for him in Brazil years before I ever knew I was going to marry a Brazilian and have children who speak Portuguese. And it's really cool that he can bring it over and play that with my kids. Just this beautiful, magical arc that I could have never known that this was how my life was going to turn out when I was in that little shop in Salvador buying that for him.
Wow. That's very profound. And that goes to show you kind of the influence that it's had and will continue to have on our lives. Totally. Yeah. Do we have any other questions from anyone? Any more questions from Frank Joseph?
Frank, you're amazing. Thank you for asking those. Those were such good questions.
They were really great. Well, it's been such a pleasure to speak together.
Yes.
I don't know if you have anything more that you want to share about your experience or our experience together or anything like that.
So I have a question for you that I think might be fun for prospective students. I know it's a different ship than the one we were on, but I'd love to know your favorite memory from actually being on the ship. So not out in these amazing countries and places, but being at sea.
So I'll never forget the crossing between Japan and San Diego, because I think we were losing an hour, gaining an hour. I can't remember which direction every day. And none of us could get used to the time change. And all of us had bought all of these crazy outfits and things like in all these countries. And it was like the last leg of our voyage. So we were at sea for 2 weeks and people were kind of losing their minds. And I'll never forget, it was like 4 a.m. and everybody was out of their cabins, like walking around the halls, wearing all sorts of things and like going to get food and like studying for an exam. And everybody was all over the place. And I just remember thinking, what an incredible thing that we're all kind of like stuck on this thing together and that we can all kind of lose our minds together. And, everyone's just... And
it was amazing.
It was amazing. Like, I feel like those last couple days, we just really bonded with each other even closer than ever because we knew the end was coming and we were like, okay, how are we going to hold on to this feeling? And we did. We did.
We held on to these friendships too. I mean, for the first few years after the ship, we were tight with so many. And I think that it's just been so many years now that happens to everybody, but it's not like I'm somebody who's best friends with 20 of my high school friends. I never had that. Mm-hmm. But with Semester at Sea, I did. And it still feels like family. And I'm having this memory I haven't thought of in so long, but there's this beautiful man on our ship, Lewis. And I just remember.
Lewis Willwright. Hi, Lewis.
I remember him sorry to throw you out there, Lewis, but it was the most beautiful thing just seeing him sobbing and sobbing and sobbing right as we were going to get off the ship because I was sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. And it was so beautiful to see so many people be so real and so authentic with how much this impacted them and not try to hold it back and not try to pretend like it wasn't devastating, the idea of not seeing everybody again. And the fact that we all really made an effort to see each other regularly for many years, I think is so beautiful and just such an indication as to how powerful it was. And I have this weird memory of the ship that I just love. And I don't know if you remember this, but if we were on the top deck going to get a smoothie, and when you opened the door, there was always this intense wind tunnel. Mm-hmm. From going from the inside to the deck, and that in that wind tunnel there was a very particular smell, and it was like the mixture of being inside a gorgeous, basically mega yacht, which is what the ships are, it's much bigger than that, but you know what I mean, to being outside in the middle of the ocean. And I've never smelled that smell anywhere else. And I remember one of the times that I got back on the ship for one of the alumni events, and I think it was in San Diego. I went up to the top deck and I opened the door and I didn't think about it before I opened the door, and the door opened and I smelled that smell and I couldn't stop crying.
Wow.
I'm going to cry now.
Oh. You just reminded me of just the fact that we got to watch the sunset in every ocean, which was incredible. And even documenting that, I mean, in a way, you're kind of losing track of time, and you're literally going around the world by ship. Like I just can't explain what that feels like. I'm almost at a loss for words, but the experience of the way that the sun looked setting on the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, the Indian Ocean. I mean, it was all so different. And going back to what you're saying about smells, like just all of your senses are taking in, you like are able to identify without seeing any land around you where you are because of the color of the sky when the sun is going down, and you're just in the middle of the sea. It's just you and all of your best friends and nobody else
in the middle of the sea.
So
it's just magical.
Do it. If you haven't gone, you gotta go.
Clearly we really want to go back.
We want to go back.
We tell ourselves every day that our lives are good. But really, we just want to go back. And the thing is, the world has changed so much. You know, I'll meet people now and We have, for example, we just hired a marketer, or actually we haven't sent him we'll be hiring someone tomorrow, but he's in, from South Africa. And how cool it was to be able, he's like, oh, I'm from this little place in South Africa. It's called Joburg. And I was like, I've been to Joburg, and I've been to Cape Town, and I've been to Kruger, and I climbed the top of Table Mountain, and I know about the baboons. Watch out. And he's like, how do you know all this, you know? But the thing is, now that it's been 15 years, the world has changed so much. I'm just so hungry to get back out and see what's happened, because the China I saw was pre-Olympics, totally different in Beijing, and the world has grown so much. So I can't wait to take another tour of it.
Totally. I totally agree. Well, on that note, I just want to say thank you so much for this conversation. And I wanted to mention that the theme of our voyage, the spring 2006 voyage, was Ubuntu, which is actually, it's a South African humanist philosophy. It means I am because we are. And a little bit after semester at sea, we both went and got that tattoo. Mine is on my wrist, and yours is on.
Mine's around here.
Yeah, your rib cage, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I am because we are, and that's how I feel about semester at sea and all the opportunities that it's given us, and the friendship, the deep, deep, long friendship that it's given us is so special. So thank you so much for coming here and sharing your experience with us and your work. And it's just been so awesome to have this conversation.
Well, I genuinely mean it when I say this is by far and beyond the most fun interview I've ever done in my life.
Let's keep doing them.
So thank you to my best friend for being my friend for so long, being in my wedding, being with me through getting sober, being with me through becoming a hypnotherapist, which at the time no one thought was cool, but you loved me anyway. Everyone thought I was like, okay. Frank, for being there with us for all of these years. Frank, for having me to your parents' ranch in Montana. Yes. And not letting me know what to expect when I got there with your beautiful, amazing parents. And, you know, everybody on our voyage, Semester at Sea, for inviting us here today. This could not have been a greater honor. And I'm just so thankful to everybody who listened in and everyone who will listen into the replay.
Totally. So on that note, thank you so much to all of our Semester at Sea alumni and our friends for joining us this evening. As you consider giving back to causes that you care about, we'd love to remind you that Semester at Sea is a 501c3 nonprofit, and we need your support now more than ever. And gifts of any size make a difference. And this is like, I just think this is the number one thing that you should be giving your money to, because it's so life-changing. So join us next Wednesday, April 14th at 5 p.m. Mountain Time for a conversation with Skye Fitzgerald. Skye was recently nominated for an Academy Award for his documentary short film Hunger Award, which explores the front lines of hunger in Yemen. So if you or someone you know from your voyage have an interesting story to share about how Semester at Sea influenced your life or career path, you should definitely email wavelengths@semesteratsea.org to be considered for a future Wavelengths series segment. And on that note, thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful night.